Think you're a Christmas movie expert. You've memorized every line of Home Alone and can debate like a pro why The Nightmare Before Christmas belongs in the holiday section. Maybe you even took Portuguese in college just to nail Colin Firth's proposal from Love Actually. Well, you self-proclaimed Christmas movie connoisseur, get ready to have your holiday socks blown off. Here are 10 hidden secrets you probably missed in classic Christmas movies. Number 10. A Christmas Story. I'm willing to bet you've never caught the Christmas Story cameo in the modern Christmas classic Elf. Remember the adorable little blonde-haired, glasses-wearing Ralphie Parker from A Christmas Story? He wore embarrassing pink bunny pajamas, and later he almost shot his eye out. Who could forget? Well, Ralphie was played by actor Peter Billingsley, who makes a sneaky, uncredited cameo as Ming Ming the Elf in the classic 2003 Christmas comedy Elf. Billingsley has actually collaborated with Elf director Jon Favreau many times. Their most famous collaboration was in the 2008 box office smash Iron Man. Ming Ming is pretty important to Elf's storyline too. It's through a conversation between Ming Ming and another elf that leads Buddy to finally realize he's a human. Without that realization, Buddy would never have made it to New York to fall in love with Zooey Deschanel's character Jovi. Number 9. Arthur Christmas. In the 2012 animated film Arthur Christmas, there is a special hidden message on Arthur's favorite coffee cup. The clumsy yet lovable Arthur has an "I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus" mug on his desk at the North Pole. He uses the mug while he writes his replies from Santa to the millions of children who wrote letters to him this year. Wondering why that mug is so special? Because in the film, Arthur is none other than Santa's son, and therefore, he might be the only kid in the world who actually has seen mommy kissing Santa Claus. Although this sort of begs the question, would any kid really want a mug that says they saw their parents kissing? I kind of doubt it, but Arthur is in line to become the next Santa Claus, so I guess the normal rules don't really apply. Number 8. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. You've most likely never thought of Whoville as a particularly sexual or promiscuous town. It may be time to think again though. It should catch you by surprise to learn that there were swingers in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In fact, the two sisters who raised the Grinch threw an annual key party. Take a look and try to think of another explanation for this scene that seems so anti-Whoville. In case you didn't know, key parties are promiscuous gatherings you definitely shouldn't Google at work. No wonder the Grinch's heart is an empty hole. Turns out he had a pretty messed up childhood. Jim Carrey himself also had a hard time playing the Grinch. When they were making the film, Carrey had to spend hours and hours, every day for months wearing hot, claustrophobic makeup. Eventually, this began to take a toll on his mental health, and the producers had to end up hiring an advisor from the CIA to teach him how to withstand torture. The Grinch's canine companion, Max, had a hard time in the film too. Movie buffs have pointed out that the Grinch finds Max in the dump, hinting that the dog was abandoned there as an unwanted Christmas gift. This sad addition to the plot is eerily similar to Max's real-life upbringing. Max is played by an Arendelle called Kelly, who was rescued by the film's producers from an animal sanctuary in Southern California. Other examples of movie magic in The Grinch was the way they filmed the scene with Martha's Christmas light gun. It was too expensive to do with CGI, so they pulled the lights through the gun and played it in reverse. Pretty clever. I'll let you in on another nice little secret from the Jim Carrey film. This time, a nod to Dr. Seuss, the writer of the book. The film is based on in the final scene. The Grinch is hosting a massive holiday feast for all of Whoville. He passes a plate of food to the adorable little Cindy, who passes it on to the Grinch's dog Max. But this isn't just any old holiday meal. It's a plate full of green eggs and ham. I'm sure the golden retriever who played Max really appreciated this particular Christmas movie secret. Number 7. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Everyone knows The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Tim Burton classic, right? Well, that's not quite true. The movie was actually directed by Henry Selick, and attributing to the film's success to Burton has become a common misconception. Burton didn't have time to direct the film, as he was too busy directing an equally awesome movie, Batman. He wasn't even in charge of the music or voices. Instead, Selick hired Danny Elfman, the Hollywood composer who might be most well known for creating The Simpsons theme song. In fact, during the scene with the street band, the head inside the double bass was based on the composer. So how did Burton get so much credit for The Nightmare Before Christmas? Well, it was originally based on a poem of the same name that Burton wrote in 1982, around the time that he was working on Vincent, a short stop-motion film that bears quite a resemblance to The Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton is also credited as a producer on the movie, so it's easy to see where this myth came from. Number 6. Muppets Christmas Carol. In the 1992 Muppets rendition of A Christmas Carol, actor Michael Caine gives a show-stopping performance of Scrooge, a role that he accepted purely because he had never done a movie that his 7-year-old daughter was allowed to watch. At the end of the film, when Scrooge is no longer a Scrooge, he sings and dances his way through town. He and the Muppets walk past a storefront with the sign, Micklewhite's Antique Shop. As it turns out, this is an ad to Michael Caine's real name, Morris Joseph Micklewhite. The role of Scrooge was almost given to comedian George Carlin. So maybe in another life, Scrooge would have sauntered past Carlin's antique shop instead. Number 5. Love Actually. Richard Curtis, the director of Love Actually, includes a quirky Easter egg in every one of his movies, an obnoxious character named Bernard. As the story goes, Richard had a bad experience with a love triangle back in college. His girlfriend wound up leaving him for a fellow student named Bernard Jenkins, who of course, Richard hated. To get back at him, Richard has been sure to write an annoying, minor character named Bernard into every single one of his films. In Love Actually, Harry and Karen, played by Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson, have a troublesome son named Bernard. In this deleted scene, Bernard gets in trouble at school for writing a story about a Christmas miracle that lets everyone see each other's farts. But what about the real-life Bernard Jenkins? He had since become a famous English politician who has been a member of the UK Parliament since 2010. Even after all these years, I'm willing to bet Mr. Jenkins regrets stealing Richard's girlfriend, especially when this Christmas rom-com comes on. I wonder if Richard Curtis will ever just let it go. Number 4. Gremlins. There's some debate over whether the 1984 fantasy horror Gremlins is truly a holiday movie, but for the die-hard fans who know it is, executive producer Steven Spielberg included quite a few nods to himself throughout the film. At the beginning of the film, Billy walks past a movie theater that is showing films with some hidden meanings in the title. One of the movies on that night is playing is A Boy's Life, which was the original title for Spielberg's E.T. The other movie is Watch the Skies, which was the working title for Spielberg's Close Encounters of Third Kind. And for those of you who say it's not a proper Christmas movie, well, you might have a point. It's a horror film about gremlins tearing up a town on Christmas Eve, after all. When the movie came out, it was given a rating of PG. Parents were appalled that a movie so creepy would be rated as acceptable for children. Their pushback led to the creation of a brand new movie rating, PG-13. Another famous 1984 movie also credited with leading to the new PG-13 rating was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But Gremlins was originally planned to be even more gruesome, and could have easily been rated, or if they'd followed through with the original script. In it, the Peltzers came home to find the Gremlins eating their pet dog Barney, not exactly the spirit of Christmas. Number 3. Die Hard. Die Hard is the story of a man who's forced to save his wife and her co-workers on Christmas Eve, after their office holiday party is invaded by violent terrorists. What noticeably sets this movie apart from most action thrillers is the fact that our hero, a policeman named John McClane, is played by a relatively average-looking Bruce Willis. He's not the buffed-up hero on steroids that movieviewers have come to expect. But it turns out that wasn't the director's original intention. Both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone rejected the role of John. It turns out that Bruce wasn't even the third-choice candidate. To make a joke out of this unfortunate circumstance, both Sylvester and Arnold were named checked throughout the movie. But hey, they're the ones who truly missed out. The film received an A+ rating, made $28 million in the box office, and went on to have 4 sequels. In fact, word is that another Die Hard might be in the making right now. Bruce Willis said that he was open to working on a 6th Die Hard film, although he would absolutely be retiring from the role of John McClane after that. Number 2. The Santa Claus. When the Tim Allen Christmas classic, The Santa Claus, was originally released, Allen's character Scott made an unfortunate joke that wound up getting quite a few kids into trouble. He jokes that Neil's mother can be reached at the phone number 1-800-SPANK-ME. Well, that line didn't go over too well with the parents of curious little boys and girls. Turns out that at the time the Santa Claus aired, 1-800-SPANK-ME was a real working phone number for phone sex operators. So for obvious reasons, the clip was removed from later releases of the film. That didn't stop the Santa Claus crew from taking other risks. During Santa Claus 3, when Tim Allen's Santa goes to get an energy drink from his North Pole vending machine, you'll see that he reaches for a red deer. Bears quite the resemblance to Red Bull, doesn't it? In fact, the Red Deer logo is strikingly similar to Red Bull's. Perhaps Red Bull doesn't ship all the way to Santa's workshop in the North Pole, but the elves have still got to get their energy drinks from somewhere. How else are the workers in Santa's workshop supposed to make billions of toys in time for Tim Allen's Christmas Eve delivery? Number 1. Home Alone. And now for number 1, a Christmas movie secret you probably didn't catch. If you already knew this, give yourself a pat on the back. You're officially a festive film expert. In Home Alone, Kevin shares a heartfelt moment on Christmas Eve with Old Man Marley, the mysterious neighbor who's rumored to be a serial killer. They discuss family struggles, and Kevin even mentions a friend who got beat up for wearing dinosaur pajamas. Fast forward 2 years to Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and we finally learn who that friend is: Kevin's cousin, Fuller. Fun fact, Fuller is played by Macaulay Culkin's real-life brother, Kieran Culkin. But there's an even bigger family secret hiding in Home Alone. Remember when Kevin's family rushes to drink all the milk before their trip? In the chaos, milk spills and Kevin's dad accidentally throws out Kevin's ticket along with the wet tissues. That tiny detail sets the entire plot in motion. Without it, Kevin wouldn't have been left behind. And here's a bonus behind-the-scenes tidbit. In the iconic scene where Kevin is nearly hit by the wet bandits van, the filmmakers didn't actually risk Macaulay Culkin's safety. The scene was filmed in reverse and played backward. If you look closely, you'll notice the exhaust blows towards the van, and Kevin's walking looks just a little strange. So how many of these hidden Home Alone secrets did you already know? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.